Danny. We're here at the 23rd Street Brewery with Matt Llewellyn. And Matt, you've got a great menu. You fine-tuned it a little bit. Great beers. There's always something to be had to put a smile on your face at the 23rd Street Brewery.
Oh, you bet. And Brian Haney would always say, come have the Haney turkey stack. Bill Self would say, come have the Bill Self pasta. I would say, come have the Bill Self pasta. It's great. Great mac and cheese, buffalo mac and cheese. And we've got a ton of other menu items that you're sure to love. We've got a great brewer who's brewing great beer. And if you like craft beer, our guy's the way to go. And we're making great drinks, too. There's a great new distillery in the state of Kansas called Llewellyn Distillery. My brother's doing that. He makes some great whiskey and vodka and rum, and we're doing all kinds of great drinks with those beverages.
Always fun to be had at the 23rd Street Brewery, 23rd and Castle. Come on by anytime and have a good time.
If you'd like to join these and other fine sponsors and market your business on Kansas City's #1 rated podcast, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkscale.com. Look forward to working with you.
Our guest is Blake Schrek. He has had a long and storied career in development and city planning and things like that, and you just heard the start of it, and you also referenced the fact that you were starting a married life, and your wife was giving you directions on fashion and the like. How did you two meet after your crazy single years with the Wichita Comets?
Oh, that was the first wife.
Wings.
Yes, the Wings. Yes, that was the first wife, and so we met. Obviously, Wings involved, and had a nice long marriage for a while, but got a divorce, and so now I'm with Karen for 25 years, and
there you go.
And so she still gives me advice, and I follow it implicitly.
So I don't forget later. How did you meet Karen?
We had some friends, again, mutual friends that had decided to set us up because we were older than everybody else. We were 40, and they were all 28, 29, 30. And so we know this other older woman that's about your age that is a friend of ours, and you guys need to meet. So we got set up at a Halloween party at the downtown Peanut. And she dressed as G.I. Jane in this very tight little camo thing, and I'll never forget that. And so, inside a year later, we were married, and it's been fantastic ever since.
Let's go back to that first business job for you. You stayed there at the Overland Park as vice president and other roles as well, director of economic development for 10 years. Tell me about that run, and then moving on to different things.
Certainly, the Overland Park gig was great. Again, in the 80s and 90s, obviously Johnson County was exploding. So much going on, so much growth. College Boulevard was just kind of coming into its own. Corporate Woods had been built. I was there for about 3 years and thought I knew everything, and so therefore it was time for me to go run my own chamber. And so I went down to Joplin for a couple of years, ran that chamber, back to Newton, Kansas, closer to Wichita.
Which is the hometown of my wife, by the way.
That's where absolutely, I knew that. And Karen as well, my wife. And so we ended up there for a while and kind of worked our way back up. And talking to, again, Mary Birch one day again, she said, I'm trying to create this new position for economic development, and I don't know who to get. And I said, I will do it if you'll have me. And so came back to Overland Park after a few years running the chambers on my own, and did almost a decade there as the director of economic development. And that is where, again, everything really exploded. Sprint Campus, all the things that really kind of made our career and my career were amazing, and really had the luxury of kind of staying in the region and being able to kind of move around a little bit. I had a lot of friends that were always chasing paychecks in the chamber world or economic development world, trying to go find a gig that paid a little bit more. After 3 or 4 years, you'd move around the country. But I went after Overland Park and the economic development job there. I went to Olathe and was the CEO of the Olathe Chamber for a few years and did economic development, and was the president there, the CEO. And then after a few years at Olathe, Lenexa offered me a job. And it was very attractive, and they were very aggressive. And so I went to Lenexa and was there for almost 25 years, 24 plus years. And it was, again, you couldn't go wrong in Johnson County, but the opportunity to kind of paint on this blank canvas that was Lenexa in Western Johnson County at the time was just too great of an opportunity to pass up. Had a wonderful team in place. He had Mike Bain was our mayor, newly elected, was very aggressive and wanted to kind of do some things. Eric Wade was our city manager, newly kind of hired. So the three of us kind of set out to grow the community. And Overland Park was wonderful. I had a couple of chances to go back there and didn't take them. Overland Park's kind of its own center of gravity, and it's going to grow and attract and just be, this kind of force of nature that it is. But we had a chance to kind of do something special in Lenexa. And really, most of the last 20 years of my career have been kind of working on City Center, Lenexa City Center there at 87th and Renner. And that turned out to be, again, just a great decision, and work with great people, and just had a lot of wonderful things go well for us, and are still booming out there. There's a couple of $1 billion worth of stuff going on that corner. So very proud of all that we were able to do there.
That was a long property, that was a long process. The city began buying the property around 2000. Of course, there was an economic downturn, but now when you see what's there, and there wasn't anything there, it's pretty remarkable, but it had its twists and turns, didn't it?
It really did. We, it was kind of came out of a citizens visioning committee or commission that was basically decided this is what they wanted. They wanted some kind of a city center, a civic center in the middle of Lenexa. And it's hard to kind of retrofit suburbia. And but luckily that land was available in kind of the center of the city. And really, again, with 435 and with 87th there, it was just a perfect spot. But you're right, the city had to hang on to that vision and be guided by that vision through recessions and a building coming out of the ground that failed and with a bankruptcy. And that's the first time really in Johnson County that had ever happened. We had a big stanchion fall down. We thought we were cursed there for a while. We tried to put that big thing up over across the intersection that held the lights, and that collapsed. And we thought, what in the world's going on? We took forever to have developer after developer come in and tell us that it was too green. There's nothing going to happen there. And we had many offers that, just do basically another strip mall. But the city council basically just kept the vision and kept through. And then we had a couple of breakthroughs. We had, kind of put together the whole residential component and the retail component and the corporate kind of daytime population component. And when we got what was then Perceptive Software, which was a big deal at the time, big announcement that they wanted to build a building there and kind of anchor the corporate presence there in City Center. We got the apartments. The Copenhagen folks came in and started doing retail. And, for so many years of pushing that rock uphill, it really kind of started rolling down the other side. And, the momentum is still there. I see the ground being broken for 2 more hotels right in the middle block across from the public market. There's more restaurants coming. The hospital is there, and there's more retail and restaurants in front of the hospital that are planned. And so it is going to be a work in progress for a while. So yeah, wasn't something you could just put up overnight. It is going to take a while to put together and to come together. And it probably will never be through. There will always be tweaks and different things going on with it. But, again, it's very satisfying to kind of drive through there and many a time, Eric Wade and I stood out there in that field and with a 6-pack and said, someday somebody's going to build something here and we'll have a place to drink inside. And now there are plenty of wonderful bars and restaurants there. And so we still get together and sit back with our unshaven faces and our too long hair with no ties on and feel great pride about what we did for the last 20-some years.
You also worked in a variety of roles and, committees and such in some of the bi-state initiatives that went on. And talk about that and all the things that worked and didn't work as far as downtown and bi-state is concerned.
Yeah, that was a whole kind of background on a lot of my career, was this whole relationship with Missouri and how we were all going to work together and grow as a region. But, after a while, I'd been here kind of for a while and kind of became the de facto spokesperson for a lot of the Johnson County stuff that was going on. And I think everybody that's been around here for a while remembers, as wonderful and thriving and vibrant as downtown is becoming now, it was not always like that in
No.
the urban core. In the 80s and 90s, it was really in pretty bad shape. And they some of the leaders down there kind of blamed Johnson County as though Johnson County was growing at the urban core's expense. And if we would just calm down out here, everything would kind of happen downtown. And there was a lot of kind of behind the scenes movement to try to gain control of whether it's through the regional chamber or through some organization so that they could find a way to kind of dictate growth out here. And it was always tricky. We didn't want to be dictated by an urban core group from another city in another state as to how we could grow in Kansas City. So or in Johnson County. So there became some kind of animosity there in the 80s and 90s, a little bit on some competitiveness and things. And it kind of came to a head, with some of the border war stuff that has been much discussed for many years about companies jumping back and forth across the state line. But we did kind of come together on the first bi-state initiative where we, now seems like an amazing kind of behind the scenes technological, my God, the things we had to do to put all that stuff together to get Union Station passed. And so for all the counties to pass that and get Union Station as kind of a symbol of regional togetherness was really a great satisfaction and kind of eased things for a while. But then, of course, as we tend to do, got a little greedy, and just a few years later, we decided we need to have bi-state too, because if that first one went so well, then let's just Christmas tree this thing and put some more money in for the stadiums and the Chiefs and the Royals and unlimited funding for the arts, and let's just make such a massive kind of ask of the people that it got turned down. And so, so again, that kind of put things a little awkwardly in the relationship for the region standpoint. There was always kind of a subtle feeling that the Missouri side was paying for all of the amenities in the region, and the Johnson County was just kind of cherry picking that and taking advantage of, again, the stadiums and the Chiefs and the Royals and the maintenance, which is ironic as we just see what's going on today. But finally, with the star bonds that were passed at what is now the racetrack, and where Sporting has their field, we in Kansas kind of got on the board with actual bricks and mortar and amenities and something we could bring to the region and kind of even the playing field a little bit there. So again, it's been kind of an up and down road. Right. I think we all kind of realized that. A few years ago, when we finally did sign the border war agreement and decide that it was kind of silly to kind of be, and some companies, it really wasn't as bad as everybody made it out to be, but there were some companies that took advantage of going over, signing a lease somewhere 4 or 5 years, and then jumping back across and getting the incentives for their whole 100-person workforce that they just got from the other state 5 years earlier. So we put together an agreement, and I led that task force and put that together to kind of get that kind of taken care of, and that was kind of a big deal, and has been, I think, held pretty strong. Again, we've evolved enough now that with downtown kind of everybody realizing, I think, that the pie is big enough for everybody, and with downtown kind of booming and with the suburbs still going strong, I think you can see that really truly outstanding world-class regions have both a vibrant urban core and a vibrant suburbs as well. And as you well know, and those of us that have been around for a while, you can see every day when we look out there, we're in really just the glory days of Kansas City from that standpoint. Right. We could not be at a better position from peak visibility, and the events that have been here and are going to come here. And sports have been a huge driver in all of that. And so I think we're riding a wave that has never been seen in Kansas City. So it's been great to kind of see, when the tide was out and now the tidal wave's coming back in. And, so it's, again, Kansas, very proud of what Kansas City's been able to do. And we kind of got everything together. And I realize everybody just needs to take care of their own little piece of the world. And if you do the best with your piece of the world, then it just makes everybody else a little better.
Well, I think it's also admirable for you to get involved in that aspect of it and realizing that is what a vibrant city is, with a vibrant urban core and surrounded by vibrant suburbs, because I first returned here after spending some time in the East in the mid-'90s, and I would say then there was an attitude in the suburbs that they didn't really care about the city. They didn't want to go, they didn't want to go down there. They didn't think it was important. And to change that mindset, that takes a lot of work.
It really does. And I think you have to, and again, everybody's driven by personal interest and by their jobs, but I do think that there was a little bit of a